Everything is working exactly like it's supposed to. Welcome to Something for Your Mind. This your girl Jackie O, aka Gyro. I'm here to have a candid conversation to talk about life, health. Something for Your Mind is a podcast that will help people to understand, to process, to communicate what they're going through, how they're feeling, what their dreams and visions for their life is, their acceptance of God's will for their life. So today we're going to talk about everything happening exactly like it's supposed to. So some of you know I've been on this healing journey for some time, and in my time of healing, I like roller coasters. Definitely like roller coasters. The best thing about the roller coaster is the drop. But nobody likes to be dropped. Nobody likes to be fumbled. But I found in life, in many relationships, when you are a person of my caliber, you find that people don't understand you. People don't know how to handle you, so they say things and they do things the best they know how. And that's not always what's good for you. And I learned to understand myself and to safeguard myself over time. I've been in therapy for some time in my I have a group, I call them the Wise Council. Uh, Always compliment me on my coping mechanisms. I have had to learn very young. I remember at 5 years old, um, my kindergarten teacher, Miss Freeman, mishandled me. So I learned real young how to self insulate, how to protect myself, how to guard myself. Not to live a life guarded, but how to soothe, self soothe, being in many situations where I was mishandled. And I began to look about my teenage years, why certain things were happening. It was actually, um, I remember having a conversation with my counselor in high school, and it was about an hour long conversation. Ended up being, I called it my therapy session, although it was very therapeutic, although they weren't trained to be a therapist. But when I left that conversation, it felt like an elephant was lifted off my shoulders, and I was so much lighter. And in that moment, I've learned that people deal with you in a manner in which they can cope and they feel safe, or they feel they understand the situation. And most oftentimes, it's not what they think it is. Even as recent as an encounter a couple of weeks ago, somebody was talking to me and they thought they were ministering to me or helping me, and they were all wrong. And I say that to say this: most times you have to go within to find the answer to your problems, the solution to your problems, because people don't know the things that you internalize, things, the unsaid things that happen to you that nobody ever hear about or see, how you process things. And um, we we often say we see things through the lens of our past. We filter through the lens of our past experiences, and oftentimes we see people through what we experienced, how we saw life, or how we saw that situation. And we could be wrong. And I say it all the time. I'm okay with being wrong. I might be wrong. I'm not often wrong. Um, I wish I were sometimes. But I've learned to trust myself. I've been going through this process very intense. It's been intense these last 5 years. And one thing I do know, I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned that I can weather storms. As Whitney Houston song says, I didn't know my own strength. I wasn't built to break. And I find that there were times when I thought or felt like I was losing my mind, and I was actually elevating, being repositioned to see things differently, to do things differently. Because sometimes we're creatures of habit. Sometimes we get stuck in a comfort zone, and God allows things to happen that helps us to get unstuck. I remember one time in February, I think it was 2014, 2016. I had a Cadillac CTS, and I was coming home in a snowstorm, and I turned the corner of my house, and my car got stuck. And what I thought it would take to get me out, I was digging myself in a deeper hole. And all it took was this one guy who was trying to get home to turn the corner. He said, "Miss, let me help you. Turn the wheel like this, go in reverse, and then go forward." When I tapped the trunk. So I had a little push. And immediately I came right out of that hole that I had dug spinning my wheels. What are you saying? Oftentimes, we try to help ourselves, and we need somebody from the outside looking in to help us. But it got to be the right somebody that knows what they're doing. And sometimes we need to trust ourselves, because that same situation happened after that, and I was able to trust myself through it. Turn the same corner, same car, and make it into the parking lot. Everything is happening exactly like it's supposed to. It may seem hard. It may seem unfair even. I've questioned God many a days because I didn't like what was thrust upon me. But when I look at the other side of through, I can look back on that situation and say, you know what, it made me stronger. It made me softer. It made me more understanding. It made me. Everything happens in divine order. So no matter how hard it is, no matter how long it takes, embrace the change, embrace the pain. And it wasn't until I embraced it that I got a better understanding of me, a better understanding of what I can endure, a better understanding of who I am. All I had to do was, as the Bible said, let a man examine himself. That's you hear me say that throughout every speaking engagement, because I do a lot of self-reflection. People often want to project their feelings on me or their word. I know me. That wasn't my intent. Wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. And we find that in the struggle, you're often alone. You often feel isolated. And most of the times, that's the best place to be when you're struggling. But there are times when you need community, and we'll get into that, because community, I've been in my healing journey studying the value of community. That's going to be one of the topics that we come up with in the future. But when you look at it in hindsight, was it really as hard, as complicated, as tough a time as you made it feel? Or because of timing, it felt that way? Timing can cause something as minute as a stump on a toe to feel like you broke your toe, to feel like such an inconvenience, such tremendous pain, hardship. It takes us out of our comfort zone. And oftentimes, that's the purpose. We can't grow unless we feel the pain. When you plant a seed in the ground, I'm quite sure at the moment where it breaks through the soil, that's the pain and the discomfort that we're feeling. And some of us fight it, which is why we don't grow. But some of us endure, and we break through the topsoil. And that's when we begin to bloom and blossom. So I say that to say this. Everything is happening exactly like it's supposed to. Joy Rose has this song that's called Supposed to. And it's been blessing me because I had to look at the frustration of being a caregiver, the frustration of being dropped, the frustration of being misunderstood, the pain of being neglected, the disappointment of not having my expectations met. Everything is happening exactly like it's supposed to. I watched a podcast the other day and I looked at and the first thing I said was, "Wow, you're telling me this person was supposed to go from a multimillionaire to sleeping in the streets homeless? Everything was supposed to happen." That's a lesson I don't want to have to learn. So I stay grounded and I stay humble. And I ask God every day, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? How is it that I'm supposed to be? Because everything happens exactly like it's supposed to. Everything is in divine order. So I've learned to say, what am I to learn from this? Where am I to go from this? Because that's not how I viewed things or faced things previously. So because everything happens exactly like it's supposed to, embrace your journey. Do it out of self-reflection. Look at the things that your struggle is taking off of you, moving you out of your comfort zone, causing you to speak up when you've grown to be silent, causing you to shut up even sometimes when you always had something to say. Everything happens in divine order. No matter how we feel, no matter how it looks or how it seems, embrace the journey. That's how you elevate. It's not about the destination. You're going to get there. But it's about the lessons you learn along the way. The people you meet that pour into you, that fills your bucket. The things and the baggage that you let go that became hindrances and weights. All that frees you and gives you the ability to soar. Everything is happening exactly like it's supposed to. Now that's something for your mind.